What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 47 of the Charge to the Top, here with Hereford FC, and today I've got for you guys our first game here in the Sky Bet League One. It's an exciting time to be here at Hereford, of course, a division that the club were actually relegated from back in 2008-2009, or rather, Hereford United were relegated from, so it's kind of nice to be in a situation here where we have a chance to return to the level the club was once at, and in fact, actually, Hereford United did play one season in the kind of second tier of England. So they have been in a higher division, but not, as you can see here, for quite some time. So I'm excited to get into this. Of course, last year was a great year. We scraped promotion, if we're being completely honest. We were very fortunate. Teams kind of just helped us out in a lot of ways. And, well, for the start of this season, there's a big challenge at hand. And, well, I had to do a lot of business to try and, obviously, mount a squad ready for that challenge. In truth, the first team hasn't changed that much. I'm going to start with the outs because I feel like they're significant, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's obviously been a main emphasis, I guess, of my cash flow is to basically bring players in for cheap and sell them on for profit. And there's a good example of one here that is kind of in the middle of being done. Jacob Rideout, the Australian goalkeeper, a player that we signed obviously in January of last year. Doesn't have a work permit. 3 bids have come in for him. They were all accepted by my board. I didn't have a say in them, as you can see here. £500,000 from Olympiacos, £1.5 million made up in various clauses from Besiktas, and perhaps the deal that I really want to get done, Benfica offering £1.3 million. Obviously, I'd rather have that £1.3 million cash up front rather than, a deal that relies on a load of different kind of clauses that may or may not happen. So that's a deal that's kind of in progress. Obviously, it'll be a big boost to us if it does happen. In terms of other transfers going on, a fair few here. The most notable, I guess, Kevin Hoyle, another deal that actually my board told me, you've got to do this, Jack. You've got to make it happen. And he left the club. You can see here, the former Manchester City man joined us on a free at the start of last season. He goes to Reading for £700,000. He's a player who lacks consistency, hasn't really ever shone in our youth team. Was a player actually at one point last year I thought might actually even play in our first team, but he really hasn't kind of ever lived up to that expectation, and in the end I was quite happy to see £700,000 for him. You will notice my regen faces have got some weird lighting going on. I don't know how it's happened, I don't know why it's happened, they're just like that. If you know why, please, answers on a postcard. Anyway, a few other players to talk about. Adrian Langley-Herbert left to go to Sheffield United. Very good centre-back, really, not only 19 years old. Again, another player who kind of joined us at the start of last season, but lacks consistency, is injury-prone. I was pretty happy to get a few £100,000 for him. The only other deal that made for some significant money, really, Dale Robinson-Lanson, of course, a player who we actually brought in back when we were in the Vanarama kind of conference, and £50,000 for him. Am I happy with that? Kind of. I don't think he ever would have played that much in the first team, so I'm kind of happy to get that much money for him. Anyway, in terms of other players on the out, there are a few here who are perhaps worth talking about. Joe Willock has gone on a free transfer to Chesterfield, a player who joined us with a load of potential back in the Vanarama North. Never really lived up to that, so we sold him on. Isaac Christie-Davis left on a free to go to Northampton, another player who joined us back when we were in the depths of non-league. In truth, now not really a first-team player, was kind of happy just to get him off the wage books. Kane Smith, who of course was a long-term servant at the club, was captain, for a few years back in the day. He's left us, of course, a player who we signed back in our very first season here at Hereford. Played 2 games last year in League 2, but unfortunately for him, his time at the club does come to an end now. There's a few other players here I could probably talk about. I know that if we look, where is he? I'm trying to find him now and I'm not going to be able to find him. Sebastian Pochettino's gone out on loan, as have a few other young players. You can see Messino's gone out on a free transfer. Fisher's gone out on a free transfer. Scott Wiseman left. Ricky Holmes left. Stephen Payne left. Quite a lot of the players we brought, I guess, during our Vanarama conference season, I've moved on. All players who were, in on 2-year deals. They've done the job for the club that I wanted them to do. And, well, the club has to press on, I guess, when it comes to improving the team for the challenge that we do have today. So anyway, looking at the kind of transfers on the in, the first player we have here, Lamptey, good player. Good kind of little centre mid. He's a youngster. We signed him from AFC Wimbledon. He has some potential. He joins us for a fairly small fee. Only 17. May improve, may not. Just a little bit of a punt, really. A player I like the look of around Regen Day. I didn't actually talk about Regen Day last year. We didn't have any good players, in case it wasn't obvious. And I didn't really have the money to bring in any players, so it wasn't really of any significance. Anyway, the next player we have, Gustavo Rojas here. Actually a Panama international. Found him just looking through the national teams. I actually like to check nations like Costa Rica and Panama because they do occasionally get good little regens. This is a fine example of one, I guess. You can see here, 20 years old, professional personality. He joins us on £2,500 a week. He doesn't have a work permit, though. Obviously, this is a bit of a risk. I see him actually playing as more of a right-back, which is where I'm training him to play. He's only 20 years old, but you can see, naturally a centre-back, but with only 6 jumping reach, I think he's going to be better kind of suited to playing a right-back position. And furthermore, as a centre midfielder, he just lacks the passing and kind of just a few of the technicals that I really like to have in a centre midfielder, and so I feel like actually as a right back he could be a very good player. He's only 20 years old, as I said, doesn't have a work permit. Panama currently struggling in the world rankings, but he is playing for them very frequently. Obviously my long-term hope is that they rise up in the world rankings. You can see they have been as high as 47th and even recently as high as 55th. I need them to get up to that kind of level, appeal the work permit, hope that he can get one. Probably not entirely likely. Obviously, if it happens, fantastic. If not, he's a player who we've only brought in for £40,000. Very confident we could sell him on for a nice little bit of money. Anyway, the next player we brought in, Stephen McLaughlin. Very good player, Irish player, can play out on the left wing position as well as on the right kind of midfielder position. Jack Barmby, who we signed last year, is going to be our starting left midfielder this year, but the left midfielder position, I didn't have any backup in. Obviously, Hoyle left at the end of his contract at the end of the year. The 33-year-old needed to get in some alternatives. And McLaughlin, he's a very good winger, very good player, perhaps not amazingly suited to this level of football, but I think he can be a good player for us, and I think the analysis that he's a Vanarama national player is a little bit harsh. Anyway, 2 more players we brought in, both defenders. The first player here, Kevin Holt, a little bit of backup in the left-back position. One thing that I've really emphasised, I guess, during this summer transfer window is adding strength in depth. We kind of experienced it last year. We didn't have the biggest squad. There were games where we just didn't have any fullbacks free in the entire team, and it was something that I needed to fix. It's something I needed to sort it. Obviously, O'Neill joined us kind of in the January period last year at right-back. Kevin Holt here, I think, can be a good little backup left-back for us. And I'm also actually contemplating training him as a centre-back because I think he could do a pretty good job there for us, the 28-year-old. He's not too bad in the air at all. Anyway, the next player we brought in, Conor Rowan. Again, similar mould, really. If we just look at him as a full-back on the support duty, he's a player who's suited to this role fairly well. Will only ever really be a kind of 5th choice kind of fullback in either kind of position, but the fact he can play both sides is kind of nice. He's kind of just to cover all bases. As I said last year, we were left in a situation where we just didn't have any fullbacks, and I can't have that happen again, and this is just one of those precautionary measures, I guess, that I've made. Anyway, the next player we've got in, the only loan signing we've made, Kevin Kelly, a Scottishman. Surprised he's not actually played at under 21 level yet. We've got him in on loan from Watford. He is a very good player. He's very well suited to this level of football. His finishing could perhaps be a little bit better, but he's a very versatile, well-rounded player with some decent aerial ability, and we've brought him in because we need some strength and depth in the striker position. And also Evans, who of course was our big kind of goal-scoring threat last year, is currently out with a broken foot. He got injured right at the start of pre-season, a big injury for us, really. And unfortunately, I needed to get in a player who can maybe, fill that void that he is going to leave in the side. Obviously, you compare these two players. They're different players in a lot of ways, but they're both players who are fairly, well-rounded. I guess you could argue Kevin Kelly, not quite as good as a kind of technically gifted striker and not quite as good physically or in the air, but his vision's good. He's pretty good when it comes to his creativity. And you know what? He's a youngster. He might have some time to develop over the course of this season whilst he's in on loan. And as I said, I needed to get some strength and depth, and there really weren't that many options when it came to the striker position. Anyway, as has become a customary, I have signed a Australian player during the window. Francesco Baldini joins us. He's a good little striker. You can see fairly modest wages. 16 finishing, 15 first touch, good determination, great teamwork and work rate as well. Physicals aren't too bad. He's only 19, has room to improve. Not got a work permit, unsurprisingly. A player who I'm hoping to sell on for a bit of money, as we have done, a few times over the course of the last few years here at Hereford. Anyway, 3 more players to talk about. The first one here, Danny Redmond, a player who can play in the left kind of wing position as well as in centre mid. The centre mid position area of the pitch where I would like to add a little bit more strength, just in terms of first team strength, but really the options aren't there for us right now. This guy comes in, however. We lacked, as I said, really options out in the left midfielder position. Behind Jack Barmby, we have McLaughlin, and we also have Redmond here, but they are the only 3 left wingers we have. Obviously, delighted to get Danny in, 30 years old, got some experience, not too bad when it comes to his mentals. Not the fastest winger in the world, but if we need him to, I'm sure he can do a job for us, and he does come in on fairly modest wages. Anyway, the next player we have, one of the few players who I think is going to be kind of placed straight into the first team, Will Packwood here. Very good player, you can see, got US nationality, 28 years old, fairly professional. Joins us from Swindon Town, where he made 99 appearances over 4 years. He's a good little centre-back. If we just compare him to Mizag, who of course was kind of our first choice I guess, centre-back last year, you can kind of see that he is an improvement, certainly, and at 28 years old, he's a player with some potential. Worth noting, he does also have the kind of, I guess, pro of being consistent. Unfortunately, you can see my kind of coaches haven't established that yet, but during the scouting phases, that was something that came up. Obviously, fairly professional personality is nice. In terms of what this means for Short, who, of course, was a player we brought in last year from Cambridge, I think it was, for £300,000. Obviously, it means that Short isn't kind of a surefire player to play this year at the centre-back position. If we compare the two players, you can see they're actually not too dissimilar. Short's perhaps a little bit more gifted in terms of it with his mentals, aerial and defending ability, but certainly what Will Packwood can do on the deck is something that, Short can't exactly do right now. But you can see the players, they're very, very close in terms of their ability. Really, the big turn-off for David Short is the fact he is still only 20 years old. He's still not natural as a centre-back, and additionally, you can see he is lacking some consistency right now, although I really don't buy into the pros and cons. I feel like the whole judging of player ability is a little bit flawed, because for a player like Short, sure, he isn't the most technically gifted player, but he is, a good player who we cannot make something happen with. If we just look at him here, you can see as a centre back, obviously he's not natural there yet. He's very well suited to the role. Maybe his concentration and decisions let him down, but if you were to play him as just a defensive centre back, he's got kind of everything above a 12 and a fair few, 14s and 15s there when it comes to his actual attributes. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, really. I think this guy can do a job for us, and I'm sure he will come into the side at some point over the season. But Will Packwood, I imagine, will be starting a handful of games at least to start the season, and we'll see how he kind of beds into the side. Can also play right back. So if I decide to switch to a slightly more conservative system, maybe where we play with fullbacks on defend instead of support, Will Packwood might be a man who can just kind of come into the side and do a job for us in that regard. Anyway, the last player we brought in, another player without a work permit, actually, Oliver Anderson here. He's a left back, very good player, very talented mentally, obviously great teamwork, great work rate. Good to see in a fullback with more attacking intent. His technicals aren't the best, but he is only 21, he can still improve. Physically, an exceptional player, however. Great stamina, great balance, his pace, determination, strength, they're all very, very good for the level we're currently at. Obviously, the big negative being, doesn't have a work permit, and I have brought him in for quite a lot of money, £275,000. But obviously, I'm hoping that he can, start playing some games for Sweden, take up nationality. If not, I don't have any doubts he's a player we can at least sell on for a little bit of money. So I'm happy to bring him in. He is only 21 years old. Will be in the under-23s along with some of the other players that don't have work permits, and a player who, either for the future will be an amazing player for us, or I'm sure we can turn, a nice little bit of profit for it. I mean, if you just look at our profile here, you can kind of see, if we go to history, the total value of players bought is £1.5 million for us. The total value of players sold is £4.2 million. We're making some great money, and speaking of deals, there is one more deal that's still going on, and that is Jacob Rideout. You can see right now lots of teams negotiating with him. The board accepted all the offers which have been accepted, which is a little bit annoying because, as you can see, the various offers do kind of have very different prices. Benfica, £1.3 million. Besiktas, £1.5 million. But at the same time, it's loads of various little clauses which I'm not entirely sure he'll hit. And then Olympiacos had a bid accepted from my board of £500,000. Annoyingly, obviously, you can protest transfers when the board accepts a deal. Unfortunately, you can't choose which to specifically protest. So if I was to protest the Olympiacos one, it also cancelled the Benfica and Besiktas deals, which are currently going on. And, well, if we could get the Benfica deal, which of course would be my choice, the £1.3 million would be very nice indeed. Obviously, if you look at the transfers here, we have actually made a little bit of money when it comes to our dealings, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't, too, overly fussed about Anderson coming in for £275,000 without a work permit. Obviously, if that ride-out deal goes on, we're going to be making anything up to really in the region of £2 million in profit in transfer dealings. In terms of the squad, I kind of mentioned it, we've not really improved the first team that much yet. I am always looking at ways to improve the side. There's some good players here, in terms of players whose contracts have expired. There's players who I've got earmarked, I'm hoping might become available. A few of them I've offered trials to. There's a fair few here that obviously would add significantly to the first team. It's a case of, are they going to get snapped up by other teams? Can we get hold of them? I kind of look at players, I guess like Bradley Dack here, and think, what a first team player he could be for us if only he was interested in joining us. You can see a few various teams kind of currently looking at him. And then there's also players like Paddy McNair. And to be honest, if we were a championship side, some of these players would be absolutely incredible if we were able to sign them. Like, you'd be able to build a team really kind of, I think, establish themselves in the championship with some of these players. But alas, obviously, we're a year too soon at the moment. We're in League One and we kind of have to accept that. Anyway, in terms of our team for this year, you can see it's a fairly versatile squad. We've got lots of strength in depth. We just look at our team report here. You can see kind of the general strengths. Obviously, we have a very young squad. There is the wage budget that's there if we want to bring in a few more players. We've got good passing. We've got good kind of strength in places like the centre midfield position with Harry Lennon, James Maddison, obviously an amazing player, Liam Evans, a star attacker, obviously currently out injured, as I've already talked about. Teamwork's good. You know, we have transfer budget as well. Like, the money really isn't a problem. It's just a case of we need to bring in a few more players. You can see here that we have some weaknesses. I don't necessarily agree with them, if I'm completely honest. I feel like our strength in depth when it comes to the centre-back position isn't really a problem. I do love looking at the squad depth image here. As you can see, we're in quite a good position. For some reason, I don't know why, Maddison is not showing up as the centre attacking mid in the eyes of my squad depth area here. It's a little bit odd, I guess you could say. If we switch it, does it change? It doesn't. That's weird. But anyway, this is kind of our strength in depth. Obviously, as I mentioned, a few players missing. I kind of feel like you don't need more than 5 left-backs, if I'm being completely honest, for a team in our level. But, well, the board, my assistant still thinks we're lacking. But you kind of look at our team as a whole. We've got great strength and depth, obviously, in the centre-back position. Harry Lennon, who has been promoted to captain this year despite his lack of leadership. Obviously, really the pick of the bunch there. Elsewhere, obviously, you've got the likes of Will Packwood, who's joined us, Mizag, John Johnson, maybe can do a job for us still, 32 years old, not played a whole host of first-team football, really. I don't think he's as good as perhaps my assistant rates him, but obviously we've got players like David Short as well. Right back, we've of course got Luke O'Neill, who joined in January, very good player, who really established himself in the latter stages of last season, going slightly higher up the pitch. Centre mid, we've got plenty of options there. 11 players, perhaps not the most gifted of players. I wouldn't mind bringing in maybe 1 or 2 kind of star centre midfielders, because if I'm being completely honest, I feel like the likes of Jake Hesketh and Romano didn't offer as much as perhaps their attributes suggest they should be offering when it came to kind of our performances last season. Anyway, looking out wide, Jack Barmby, obviously a star player last year, hoping he can have a very good year. The 26-year-old got 8 assists and 4 goals in 10 games, 7.65 average rating for him across the 10 matches he did play in the latter stages of last season. Mayor Waters, the Irishman out on the right, good player, developed a little bit actually over the course of last season, still has room to improve as well, could be a good Sky Bet League One right midfielder in the future. Maybe not quite there now, maybe another position I can maybe look to strengthen. Obviously the striking options, Liam Evans being out with a broken foot is a big miss for us. But I feel like the likes of Sambu, Kevin Kelly, even Maddison, if we need to push him slightly higher up the pitch, can fill the void there. A player like Shimanga, as you can see, he's actually picked up an international cap for Congo. If I'm being completely honest though, I don't feel like this guy's good enough for the League One, and maybe it's an area of the pitch where we do need to look to strengthen still. Obviously, with the ride-out deal going on with the money that we've already got in the bank of £1 million, there's going to be some money to spend at some point in the season. It's a case of, are the players that I'm looking at who are really good quality players going to be interested in joining us this year, and can we pick them up? I think we showed in the latter stages of January that obviously players have longer and longer spells without kind of having a club, they do become more inclined to want to join you. And I think a good example of that is Rob Elliott, who is a very, very good goalkeeper. Decent player apparently for Sky Bet League 2 sides. I actually rate him as a player who can do a job for us this season. I think he's a very good goalkeeper and he's very well suited to the goalkeeper role. So anyway, our team to start this season, if we just look at it for this first game, which is actually against Blackburn, a newly relegated side, it's not actually that different to the squad of last year. We've already talked about Elliott. Left back, Chris Owens is going to hold down his position, the 22-year-old player who joined us all the way back now when we were in the Vanarama South. As you can see, over the last 3 years has been a top performer. Last year had one of his best seasons actually when it came to assists, played 36 matches in total. I'm going to give him the nod to play at this level. Is he good enough for League One? I think it's debatable. You kind of look at him here, he's definitely got to improve in certain areas. He is still only 22. Obviously, his squad status is hot prospect, so he's kind of accepted the fact that the squad has kind of improved since he first joined. But I think he could be a good little player for us. I've already talked about O'Neill at right back, but a very good player indeed. Centre back, obviously, making a return to the side is Harry Lennon. He is now club captain. You might think, only 9 leadership, 9 determination. Is that ideal? It's not really. I do feel like we have a little bit of a gap when it comes to leadership in the squad, particularly with how young our side is. But Harry Lennon was the vice captain last year. He has been at the club a good few years. He knows what to expect, and I think he can be a good player to lead the squad out. Alongside him, obviously, Will Packwood, 28 years old, young centre back. Centre mid for today's game, we are going to go with Jake Hesketh alongside him. Edwards, a player who I think is a little bit of an unsung hero in some ways. He was a very good player for us last year. I'm hoping he can give another good performance this year. Ahead of them, we have James Maddison playing as the central attacking midfielder. Out on the left, we have Jack Barmby. Out on the right, we have Mayor Waters. And starting for today's game, we do have Sambu. I do have some questions perhaps over the striker position. Obviously, Evans a massive, massive miss. Not going to be back, though, for 3 months, so we can't kind of just sit wishing he wasn't injured. We've got to adapt. We've got to, find a strike force that works for us. I think really this year, Sambu and Kevin Kelly are going to be the two players, at least until Evans is fit, who are fighting over that striker position. In terms of the squad, you may have noticed when we looked at the coach reports, a lot of them kind of not really hinting at the fact that our players are good enough to play at this level. It's going to be tough, the Sky Bet League 1. I have absolutely no doubts about it. If we just look at the season preview, we're currently predicted to finish 19th. I think that's a fairly generous prediction. I'd like to see us, achieve that as a minimum. I say it's generous because I actually thought we'd be in the relegation zone with the likes of Newport County and Tranmere. Tranmere, of course, winning the playoffs last year. It's going to be tricky. The difference in class between the Sky Bet League 2 and Sky Bet League 1 is very kind of noticeable, particularly with the teams who get relegated. Today we actually take on Blackburn, who are the favourites to win the league. If we just look at Blackburn's squad, they've got some very, very good players. They've got players like Tuan Zembe here, who is the former Manchester United youngster. In goal, they've got, if we just look, David Raya. They're a very, very talented squad here, Blackburn. This is going to be hard. This first game is really going to test us. In terms of the fixture itself, you can see it's away from home. It doesn't really get any any harder after this. So I'm hoping we can give a good performance. As I mentioned, not a whole host of names in the first team. I'm showing quite a lot of faith, I guess, with the squad that we have. But, well, hopefully that faith isn't going to be misplaced. Let's get into today's game. We are taking on Blackburn. Packwood lacking a little bit of match sharpness, but I think he can adapt. Danny Redmond going to be an option on the bench potentially for us. And hopefully, obviously, Sambu can get back to scoring ways. He got a hat-trick in the second to last game of last season. You can see here Blackburn could be seen to be edging this game. Apparently, we won't be seen to roll over, and the absence of Liam Evans is going to hit us hard. I kind of like how nice the pundit's been to us. Unfortunately, the betting odds aren't quite so kind, but we'll see what we can do here. Jack Barmby actually picked out as our key player. They could be playing a standard 4-4-2. Hopefully, obviously, our 4-2-3-1 can play between the lines. I just want to encourage the players here. This is our first game in League One. It's a bit of a big day for the club to return to a league that we were, of course, relegated from just over a decade ago. Of course, we don't need to see the latest scores in league table now. It's not as dramatic as last season in that regard. Hopefully, we can get the performance here that we kind of crave. This is going to be tricky, though. Away from home against Blackburn, I want to stick with our attacking philosophy, which saw us get promoted with the goal scored for last year. And let's see what we can do here. Anything that isn't a defeat, I think, would be a good result here. To be honest, I may even take a narrow defeat here against Blackburn. Their squad is very, very stacked. It's full of talented players. But, well, we've got a set piece to deal with here. Ball whipped in. Elliott collects it. Can we maybe hit them on the break? Barmby's looking for the option actually out wide there. He's got some space as well if Elliott decides to pick him out. Actually opts to go to the other wing where Mayor Waters is. O'Neill wins it. Mayor Waters inside to Edwards. Hesketh, Maddison. Options on ahead maybe. Sambu to feet. Looking for an option. Finds Edwards. And this is nice patient build-up play at the moment. Holding on to the ball well. We've actually had almost 60% of possession here in the first 20 minutes. We haven't created a whole host of chances, but maybe we can make something happen here. Maddison. Sambu's on ahead. Lays it to Jack Barmby. Can he pull the trigger? He doesn't. He elects to pass it back. This is lovely build-up play. Can Mayor Waters finish it? What a goal that is. 1-0 Hereford. Beautiful build-up play. Just patient probing, passing play around the edge of the box. Why are the highlights in 2D? Sort it out. And why can't I change it to 3D? Is it because we're already in the game? Why is that changed? Answers on a postcard. Okay, well, we're going to have to enjoy the replays, I'm afraid, in 2D today because the game says so. But 1-0. I'll take it. Blackburn don't know what's hit them. That was a really nice passing move, really good build-up play. Mayor Waters, nice little composed finish, and good to see Maddison doing what he did for us last year in terms of getting an assist. Either way, we're on the attack again here. Maddison, Chris Owens whips it in back post. Mayor Waters, he wins it in the air. He gets another goal. He's not known for his finishing, this boy. Chris Owens, the left back, with the assist. And, well, we move up to second, 2-0. Lovely build-up play once more. Maddison, quick little 1-2 from the throw-in. Ball to the back post. Mayor Waters wins that battle. Not the greatest player in the air, but he got enough on that header there to find the back of the net. And, well, I talked about Blackburn as having a terrifyingly good squad and saying that maybe I'd take a narrow defeat. I mean, I'd also take a 2-0 win. That would be good enough, wouldn't it? Now we just need to shore things up before half-time. But you can see, looking at the stats, 59% of possession in our favour. Blackburn yet to have a shot on target. We are dominating them in this game. They're playing a 4-4-2. We're playing between the gaps in their midfield with their kind of fairly flat system, and it's working wonders for us. Players constantly finding open space to play around into. And well, Jack Barmby, he burns a man down the wing. He wins the ball. Sam Boo probably could have scored and should have scored. It was a great opportunity for us. You can see one clear-cut chance, 4 half chances for us. We've been superb. And Mayor Waters, he's on for a hat-trick. Raya this time makes a stop. It was a great clear-cut chance straight from kickoff. We could have scored 2 goals within the first 30 seconds of this half. Unfortunately, not to be, although we still have a chance here. Barmby, Edwards, Packwood maybe on his debut, the centre-back. That would be a turn-up for the Bucks, wouldn't it? Unfortunately, we do need to be wary of the counter-attack here as Butterworth's going to be bringing the ball forward. Still, Blackburn yet to have a shot on target, though. And, well, a very promising sign, I think it would be fair to say, to this second half as the ball's whipped in. White... Wright rather gets rid of it. It's going to be back with Madison being closed down, but we've got a lot of men. If the ball can be big and up here, which it is, I mean, I was going to say we'll be in a great position. Unfortunately for us, Blackburn do win the ball, but we do kind of quickly reform as a defensive unit to get our shape back together. But, well, we need to be wary here. Ball coming forward. Packwood, no nonsense from him. Jack Barmby finding some space in behind the fullback who was committing to the attack. Can he whip in the ball? Sam Boo's there. He hits the woodwork. The ball's cleared away. It was another great opportunity for us to score. And we are currently just tearing Blackburn to shreds. We are creating so many opportunities. It could be 4 or 5-0 at this point. That is no exaggeration. This game has been an absolute demolition job. And I'm going to make a change. I'm going to take off Jake Kesketh. I'm actually going to bring in James Murphy, I think, for him. You can see here, Madison's not had the greatest game, neither has Sam Boo. I'm going to take off Sam Boo and bring in Kevin Kelly, the youngster in on loan from Watford. Give him some time, get him some match fitness, maybe see if he can get a goal. I feel like, you know, for the 18-year-old, if he gets a few goals, he could be a very good kind of source of goals for us this year, in on loan, of course. So let's give him an opportunity. Sam Boo had plenty of chances, didn't take them. Can we make something happen here? Ball cleared away. Owens, who got an assist for the second goal, spreads it back wide to Madison, who crosses it in. Jack Barmby keeps it in nicely as well. Options in the box, cleared away. Edwards can score from range, and he scores again from range. He got last year's goal of the season. He might have another blockbuster to add to the collection here. It's 3-0. We move up to second. Jack Barmby whips the ball in. It's cleared away. Edwards, one touch. No one closes him down. He says, I'll shoot then. And, well, it's perhaps not quite as thrilling as it would be in 3D, but I'm certainly going to take it. A lovely finish by him. And, well, who said that we should accept the defeat against the team favoured to finish top of the league? Like, who said that? Nonsense. We have absolutely destroyed Blackburn. We have ripped them a new one. We just want to look good defensively now. I want to keep the clean sheet if we can. That would be nice. Evans out wide on the left here, whips it in. Lennon clears with the ball nicely. It's hit on the volley. Elliott holds on to it. And, well, that's Blackburn's second shot on target of the game. They've been very underwhelming. We've defended extremely well here. And we're on the attack again. Kelly to Mayor Waters, who is going to be looking for the hat-trick. Options in the middle if he can find a man. To Murphy at the edge. Gets cleared away, but only as far as Edwards. Back with Murphy now. Madison dispossessed. A lot of men up in the attack now for Blackburn. They're committing men, obviously, to try and desperately get back into this game in the last 20 minutes. Butterworth pulls it back. It's deflected, actually, in there off Owens. And it's a very unfortunate goal. The shot was going wide. It's ricocheted off the fullback. He didn't really know a whole lot about it here. Butterworth finds the space out wide, whips it in. Evans with a shot. It's going miles wide and it just deflects off Owens, unfortunately, in the fullback position. I will now just quickly change our fullbacks to defend just to, you know, see out this game. I feel like that is a fairly kind of logical change to do here. And we're also going to look just maybe to hit them on the counter-attack with some big kind of long balls up the pitch. I don't really want to see us, you know, get caught out here and sacrifice a 3-goal lead on the first day of the season. So we're going to look to just shove things up a little bit defensively. Although, that said, Blackburn, that goal may well have galvanised them. They are going to be on the attack here. Can McMahon keep it in? He can. Options in the middle. They score again. Maybe I talked too soon. It's still obviously 4-2 here. It's not. Why did I think we'd only scored 3? It's 4-2. It's 4-2. We don't need to panic. McMahon with the goal. A little bit of a shame, obviously, that that's found the back of the net. But, well, we'll deal with it. Wait, Kevin Kelly scored, but we didn't see the goal. That's why I'm confused. When did this go in? Did it go while I was making panic changes and the game didn't tell me? Either way, He scored. How? That's really weird. I've never seen that happen. I'm going to have to watch back the video and work out how I missed that goal. I think because we were doing tactical changes as it went in or as the replay started, it just cancelled it. Either way, it's 4-2. I'm not panicking as much as I thought I would be now. Although they are on the attack here. McMahon, I mean, we can't lose this 4-goal lead, can we? That can't actually happen. I refuse to believe it's possible. Let's just drop everyone deeper. Let's just... No one play silly. We don't need to play silly. Contain. Yeah, contain. We'll do that. If we lose this now, it's a miracle. It would actually be one of the greatest defeats I think I've ever had in Football Manager. I mean, greatest is an interesting word to use for it. But we're on the attack here. Kelly, can he score again? He hits the woodwork, or actually the keeper turned it over the crossbar. Fair play. A lovely save by him. But with 4 clear-cut chances and 5 half chances, I feel like we've been a little bit lacking when it's come to our finishing. But, I mean, there's still a set piece to deal with here. We're playing on contain. We've got 5 men just sitting at the edge of the box for any leftovers. Barmby picks it up. Can he maybe find an option in the middle? Fantastic run by the youngster. And he's fouled by Lenihan. And, well, we'll take the set piece there. Can we put it in the corner? Can you guys do that? Let's just, you know, time. Oh, we're already time wasting. Well, that doesn't even matter, does it? Madison. Not many options in the box. Whips it in. Packwood not there. Ball headed clear by Blackburn. 2 minutes left of this game. I'll just take the win at this point. You know, it's not been particularly convincing, but it's good enough for me. Murphy inside to Madison. Now with Edwards. That's got to be game over. It is game over. It finishes 4-3 Hereford here at Ewood Park. We were massive underdogs. We've given a performance that I didn't think we were capable of giving. Obviously, good to see Kevin Kelly coming off the bench to score. Even if we did somehow miss the goal, I guess it happened while I was making tactical changes, but I didn't even see the text flash along the bottom. But regardless, it doesn't matter. 3 points is 3 points. We win the game. Mayor Waters, man of the match, gave a great account of himself, the Irishman. Not the greatest in the air, as I said, only 11 jumping and 6 heading, but he really kind of terrorised the Blackburn defence and gave a top performance. So anyway, with that win, we actually go up to 3rd. Obviously, fantastic result against the team really tipped to win the league this year. Maybe a wake-up call for Blackburn Rovers fans. As I said, in terms of our aims for this season, I promised Evans playoffs. That's kind of, I guess, a minimum expectation as far as he's concerned. My expectation, I'd be happy with top half. I feel like our squad's lacking a little bit, but if key players like Harry Lennon can perform, James Madison and Jack Barmby can really step up in the attacking midfielder position. If we can get, you know, either Evans scoring when he's back from injury or get Kevin Kelly or Sambu, you know, on the score sheet frequently, maybe we can string some results together and really exceed the expectations that I currently have. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode from me. Hopefully you enjoyed as always. If you did, smash the like button. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.